Hello, and welcome to episode 11 of Friends of the Show podcast, the podcast where I talk to one of my friends. This week's friend is Tom, at Trojan Sauce on Twitter. Now, Tom is our third British guest, following the likes of Bex and Mike Bigby. Mike Bigby, did I say? Yes, speaking of Mike Bigby, Tom addresses the controversy stemming from Mike's episode. If you haven't listened, do check out episode 007 with Mike Bigby. It'll fill you in. And also be sure to stay to the end of this episode, which features an exclusive reading by Tom of an excerpt from his original writing. You're not gonna want to miss it. And now, without Gerard Depardieu, Friends of the Show, episode 11, with Trojan Sauce.
There isn't no going back, and it's wrong, but we'll do it anyway, because we love a bit of trouble.
All right, welcome to Friends of the Show. Today's guest is at Trojan Sauce, a.k.a. Tom. Welcome, Tom.
Welcome, Stephen.
Ah.
Hello.
Yes,
hello.
Thank you.
Who knows where we are? For the podcast listener, we could be anywhere in the world.
We could be anywhere, and we are. So you want to tell us about that quote? And who said it?
I had a real tough time picking a quote. I've listened to the other episodes, and some people picked some really good and deep quotes, and I was just trying to think of something that I enjoy and kind of stands out to me, and that is a line from the Arctic Monkeys song Balaclava. I just really like it's wrong, but we'll do it anyway because we love a bit of trouble. That's quite fun, I think.
Yeah, it's a total Alex Turner thing, right? A bit of a...
It really is, yeah. It's very in keeping with his whole aesthetic, I think.
Yeah, I like a good Arctic Monkeys. That was off of, what album was that on?
That was the second album, so whatever that one was called.
Yeah, not the breakout album.
Yeah, no, this is the second one. It had
follow-up.
like Teddy Picker and Fluorescent Adolescent and all of that.
Yeah,
stuff
I think I had
it.
this one. I didn't have the first one, but I still don't know.
Yeah,
I still don't know what it's
obviously,
called.
over here the first one was big. Oh, they're all big, but the first one was particularly big over here. But, yeah.
All right, cool. So big Arctic Monkeys fan also, obviously.
Oh, of course, yeah. I mean, who isn't?
Well, I mean, it is
some people
sort of
probably
Brit-centric, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. You've got to represent.
In case the listeners couldn't tell, Tom is joining us from the UK, specifically England.
Very England, yes.
In England, I think I could just hear you sipping on either tea or a beer.
It is a beer. It is a lovely Czech beer, so that's nice.
And it's probably lukewarm, right?
It's actually quite cold, this one.
Okay, so breaking out of the stereotypes.
Like
but they do, drink it at room temp. That's the preferred method.
That's how we do it.
Yeah, which is odd.
Save on chilling costs. Well, it's just, different beers, different things. It's like ales and things are meant to be a little bit warmer, I guess. I don't know. We just do what we're told. As I'm growing up and everyone else is drinking warm beer, I'm not going to be the one to chill it,
Yeah, you're like, put a piece of ice in it, please.
Exactly. I'll be kicked out. I'll be shunned.
Yeah. Shandy for me, thanks.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I wanted to tell you as well.
Yes.
Like I said, I was having a tough time picking a quote. So I had a second quote that stood out to me as well that I thought I'd say as well. In the week, I listened to a podcast, an episode of your podcast that you emailed to me.
Oh, my.
And, something that was said on the show really stood out to me. And I thought it would be a good quote to lead with.
Okay.
And it said, we arranged to meet up, and I cancelled a couple of days beforehand. So, no, we haven't met, and it's my fault. And that's from our friend Mike Bigby.
Okay. So, yes, Mike Bigby, for those of you who have listened to the Mike Bigby episode, I think this is what you're talking about. And yes, so at Mike Bigby, definitely mentioned you on his episode, and now you're
once or twice
mentioning him right back. So we knew this was going to happen. We knew it was going to happen.
As soon as I heard him say it was his fault, I thought, right, write that down.
A big grin
that
came across your face.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there you go. The first time the podcast has been quoted on the podcast.
There you go. Meta.
Yes. So thank you for those quotes, Tom. Yeah, Mike Bigby, the noted philosopher you're quoting. So yeah, Tom, you've been pretty mean to me online. In fact, you just made a moment of all the times you replied to me negatively, and it's fine. I know it's just you're a gruff exterior and there's a nice interior behind. I've seen it with other English dudes I've met. It's a common thing, I think. Yeah. Do you want to address your trolling?
I've told you before that your puns are I think the true hallmark of a good pun, which is yours, is that it makes me want to murder you every time.
Yes.
And you do some jokes that are just, I'm like head in hands laughing, and I'm so frustrated with myself for laughing.
Just makes you angry.
Yeah, just fury. And I went to a thing called the Pun Run in February or March, maybe, I can't remember, earlier this year. And I went with Bex, and I went with Mo, who is @Chew on Twitter.
Friends of the show.
Sorry?
They're friends of the show, Bex.
They are friends of the show.
Mo.
And we went to the Pun Run, and one of the things that the host said was a groan is as good as a laugh when it comes to a pun. And afterwards, we were chatting with some of the performers, because a few guys from Twitter had performed, and that's why we went. And we was having a chat with them, and I was saying to the host, have you seen Stephen Skinner on Twitter? Because you want to groan, there's your guy. So, I'm trying to get the word out there so that other people will want to murder you just as bad, so that when it happens, I'm not the one to take the fall for it.
Oh, well, thank you very much. You're not the only one to, have my jokes cause physical pain, to have had that before. And I thanks everyone for reaching out, and letting me know that is causing a physical reaction within your body. So
they're good. They're good. It's just
it's sort of just like a balance between very, very good and very, very bad, like dumb.
Yes, exactly. So, no good though. I enjoy it.
Well, thanks for trying to get the word out.
You're welcome.
So I guess it balances out you being mean and then, but secretly liking it.
Yes.
So, well, I do appreciate it.
I only mean because I like it.
Exactly, and I know it. So people out there, if Tom's mean to you, I mean...
It's love.
It's love, yeah. I mean, most of the time. Sometimes I'm sure it's probably just straight up.
Sometimes it's just like, I dress it up. I pretend it's love, but you know what it is.
Yeah, underneath, it's like the opposite.
Yeah.
If you ever say something nice to someone, uh-oh.
Yeah, that's it. So my wedding vows, I'm going to be just incredibly aggressive.
Oh, yes. Do you want to talk about that? You're getting married?
I'm not, no.
Yes, that's your wedding vows. You're engaged to wed. So I hope I'll get my invite in the mail.
I'm not getting married,
so
Steve.
Tom, if Tom's parents are listening, he hasn't told you yet. You better call your son.
Yeah, come on, guys. You don't notice?
You don't know what's happening in his life. Okay, so let's move on. You're going to tell your story now. And the story is titled in simply Robbery.
Yes.
Or I guess as some English people call it, Blagging.
Some people call it that. That's true. I've actually got two stories about robberies and muggings. So I'll do them in chronological order. So the first one, I'll set the scene. I'm 15 years old, and I am with my friend, a girl. We had been to the cinema together, and I was walking her to the train station so that her dad could come and pick her up from the train station and take her home. And this guy approached us and came and sat down in the bus stop next to us while we were waiting for her dad. And he came over and was very friendly and was chatting to us and asked what music we were listening to, because we had my iPod and we were sharing headphones. And he was having a look at what was on my iPod, and then he took it and walked away. And I was like, well, hang on a second, that's my iPod. So I walked after him and I took it back off him. And so I got it back. And then her dad pulled up. So I walked over to her dad's car, and she got in the car and said, some guy just tried to steal Tom's iPod. And I said to him, yeah, this guy, he's over there. I can see him with his friends. he tried to steal my iPod, but I took it back. And her dad went, "Oh no, bye," and then drove away. And it was it was night time, and I was by the train station in this alleyway, and I went to walk home, and there was the guy with like 3 of his friends.
Yeah.
Suddenly, and they came over to me and they said, "Give us your iPod," and I said no. And then the big one, who was one of the new ones who turned up, said, "I've got a knife," and I said, "Prove it." And then he pulled out this really big knife, and I said, "All right, here you go." And I gave him my iPod, and then I went home. And that was...
you played knifey iPod.
Yep, that was the first one. And so, like, on the way home, I called the police. I was like, "I've been mugged. Some guys had a knife and they took my iPod." And the police were like, "Do you know what they look like?" And I was like, "Well, yeah." And they said, "Do you want to come with us in the car to look for them?" And I was like, "Not really. Someone just waved a knife at me. I'd like to go home, please." And they were like, "Well, in that case, we're not going to look for them." And that was it.
Yep.
So they never got caught. That's a fun story. The end.
Yeah, the end. But also, those guys got your iPod and probably got turned on to some good tunes, right?
Well, I hope so. I mean, maybe
Arctic Monkeys probably on there. What else do you think was on there?
Hit popular bands. Who knows?
Yeah, what else do you think was on there? What other bands do you think were on there?
I think I was probably, at the time, I was 15 and angsty, so I was probably listening to Slipknot and The Used and Rise Against. And
some harder edge stuff.
Yeah, it was a good little...
Good stuff to listen to before you go and mug people. So
exactly.
It would probably actually work out. Yeah, they got more pumped up and they did more muggings on the way home.
Exactly.
Well, that's unfortunate that you got mugged.
Yeah.
In the little train station, seedy area.
Great.
And what's with the dad just taking off? Like maybe give you a ride like down the block to the next train station where those guys aren't there.
Exactly. He could have helped me out, but he chose not to. He chose to drive away and leave me at the scene.
Of course.
The fact that we could see that his friends had joined him. Yeah. The guy just left me there stranded.
And that gentleman, of course, your future father-in-law. So if you're listening, sir, what did you do?
You bastard.
What
I mean, just to clear things up, he's not he's unlikely to end
again, Tom's parents, reach out.
Yeah. Right, and the other mugging story, my other robbery story, is the one happened this year, right? So this is maybe February. I think I was in London and I was waiting for my friends to get off the train, and I was stood outside a bar having a beer and waiting for them. And I had my headphones in and I was looking at my phone, and this guy comes over to me and says something, and I took an earbud out and I was like, "What was that?" And he said, "Have you got any change?" And I said, "I'm not sure if I do, but I will have a look." So I dig my hand into my pocket and I'm rooting around for change. And the guy goes, he had like his hands in like this big hoodie, and he goes, "I've got a gun." And I said, "What?" And he said, "It's a real gun," which sets hairs racing. I mean, when someone tells you not only is it a gun, but it's a real gun. It's
like when they say gun, you're sort of, I mean, when the guy was like, "I got a knife," you're like, "Prove it." But when you said gun, you're like, "Is it a real gun?"
Yeah, exactly. So, no, it's a fake gun. Sorry, continue, yeah. So I dig around in my pocket and I find some change, and I had like 80 pence, and I was like, "I've got like 80p. And he went, "Oh, brilliant, thank you," and took it.
Yeah.
And then went, "I don't really have a gun," and then he left. And that was it. And I can't tell if he was trying to mug me. Like, was his plan to be like, "I've got a gun, give me all your money"? But I gave him like some change and he was happy with that. I'm really not sure what his motive was. I don't know why he mentioned the gun.
Yeah, that is a very interesting mugging.
Yeah,
so,
he wasn't all there. I think he was having a tough time, and maybe he was just hoping. I don't know what he was hoping.
Yeah.
But I had my phone in my hand. If you're going to tell someone you got a gun, at least like snatch the phone.
Yeah, I mean, iPod crew knows that. Go for the technology. Yeah, go for the technology. There's probably some good tunes on there at the very least.
Maybe it was the same guys. Maybe this one grew up.
Just 10 years later. Much later. They caught up with you again to finish the job for that 80p.
They saw me and were like, "Oh shit, that guy's going to ask to see the knife. Maybe if we tell him it's a real gun, that'll do."
Yeah, let's cut the questions. Like, gun. real gun. Let's be clear. This thing fires bullets.
Real ones, not just bullets.
True bullets. Well, harrowing brushes with death on the mean streets of London, right, Tom?
Yeah.
You gotta be careful, like head on a swivel for sure. I lived in and around the London area for a few months, and yeah, whenever I went into London town, for sure had my head on a swivel. But yeah, headphones in all the time, but always an eye out for those seedy characters. And yeah, I did see them.
They're there.
But just like try to stay away from them as much as possible. Maybe don't take the earbud out when they're trying to get your attention.
Yeah, exactly. Just keep walking.
Keep walking, yeah. Stay safe out there, you London people.
Yeah, particularly today.
Yeah, it's incredibly sad news. There's another attack in London. It's just a bad time to be in London.
I think it's a bad time to be anywhere in the world, to be honest.
It is not a great time. We don't want to date the podcast too much, but shit is bad.
Yeah. I'm sure. Well, the fun thing is that this probably will be relevant forever. So,
yep, timestamp.
Yep.
Timestamp if anyone wants a glimpse of what people were like around this time. Historians, if you're listening, take note.
Yeah, everyone sucked.
Yeah, it sucked. People got robbed all the time and horrible attacks.
Yep.
Well, good
podcast material.
But sometimes, good podcast to listen to. Definitely a glut enough podcast to listen to.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, thank you for listening to this podcast. So, moving right along to a happier subject, Tom's tweets at Trojan Sauce on Twitter. One word. Do you know why you have that handle?
Right. It doesn't mean what people think it means.
Right. That's people assume immediately that you're speaking about jizz.
Yeah, I'm not. We don't have... Trojan isn't a big, condom brand here.
What is a big condom brand there?
Durex.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. So, Trojan wasn't in my mind as a condom brand when I came up with the name. It was supposed to be a fun play on Trojan horse, but what I neglected to consider was that with the North American accent, you say horse and sauce. Well, they don't sound alike.
No, they do not.
So that pun doesn't come across at all. And and now I'm stuck with it. I've wanted to change it a number of times, but I feel like...
Well, now that you've explained it, I think everyone should be satisfied.
I hope so, but I know that they'll come back with it again. I know there's people listening. I know Dave Cactus will bring it up. I know Rocky Momax will bring it up. These are the sort of people who I have to contend with.
You have to defend yourself. Well, I mean, horse and sauce do not rhyme. But
I know.
Hose and sauce, rhyme,
that's
right?
very inaccurate. That's a very poor.
I know. I'm deliberately being bad for the comedic effect. So now that we got into the bottom of that, let's get to this first tweet that you have submitted. And this tweet was actually a last-minute substitution. You DM'd the last minute and you're like, I need a switch. So I was able to pull some strings. A lot of gears and levers went into motion, and I was able to change it. So the one that I'm reading now is that one. And it goes, ding dong, taco time, Taco Bell slogan, if I was in charge.
Yes.
That is yours. So
that is mine.
And it's also a pitch to Taco Bell. Taco Bell, if you're listening. Yep. Ding dong, please. Taco time. How would you say it? I kind of gave it a little bit of a jingle.
Similar, I guess. I mean, I always read it kind of, everything I write. I tend to read a little bit deadpan, I suppose, but it's ding dong taco time is
okay
to me. It rolls off the tongue. It's much better than Live Mas.
It's better, yeah.
Yeah. The only thing is, right, so the reason I wanted it in is because I was in Seattle recently, and I was hanging out with some friends, and they told me that Taco Time is a place. There is a taco store in Seattle called Taco Time. Oh. So it changes things. I don't know how we, when I take over Taco Bell, are going to market this new slogan without stepping on the toes of our big rivals, Taco Time.
Yeah, that is definitely going to be an issue.
It's a real headache. Yeah.
It is going to be an issue for sure. Because you don't want to be advertising Taco Time when you're Taco Bell ad, right?
Yeah.
It's basically the opposite of what you want.
Exactly.
Well, I guess cross that bridge when you come to it.
I mean, it's inevitably going to come to it at some point. If
I'm
Taco
not
Bell
saying don't think about it,
to
but
be the CEO, then what's the point?
Yeah, well, I think it's a good one, and Taco Bell, again, if you're listening, look out. Tom's coming for you.
I'm on my way.
Okay, so the second tweet of Tom's that I'm going to read right now is a bit of a back and forth. So there's two people. It's the boss and then you. That's Tom. So the boss says, "Tell me about Suzanne." And then you take drag of a cigarette. The one that got away. And the boss says, "You're a zookeeper. None of them should get away."
Yeah.
It's a classic zookeeper joke.
Classic zookeeper.
About the one
rascal.
that got away. Little rascals. I worked at a zoo, and I'm telling you, they would love this one.
I'm very envious of that. I love the zoo.
Yeah, it's great. Got to see all the animals all the time. Driving around on my own private golf cart.
Fuck.
Woof. Taking
This
the
is like a
back
dream.
roads. It was great. It was.
Did you deal with any particular
this
animals?
weekend. Not directly. I was.
They weren't like your domain.
No,
You
I
weren't,
didn't
like,
actually
in with
work
the lions,
with the animals.
Wrestling at bedtime, things like
No, it was like a third-party contractor for the zoo. But it was, definitely fun. Giraffes, super chill.
that. Nice.
Everyone,
I'd imagine that about giraffes. You know, they look chill.
they're chill. Yeah, like it was a good time all around. So I know some people are hesitant about zoos, like, oh, we shouldn't be keeping the animals in there, but they're very well treated. I can tell you for sure they're living their best lives, and it is good for the kids to see. Let's send the kids in there; they learn about
this stuff. I have
stuff.
mixed feelings about zoos. Obviously, I don't like to think of the animals cooped up, but equally, like, I understand why we have them and conservation reasons and things like that. And when there's zoos that have really big open spaces and loads of like enormous enclosures and things,
sanctuaries are a bit better. Yeah,
for sure.
Actually, Bob Barker managed to do like a campaign, and he got the elephants in the Toronto Zoo kicked out. They got sent to a sanctuary in California, and they like made a big TV show about it. So good for Bob Barker, bad for Toronto elephants, but yeah, there we go. Everyone, check out Bob Barker.
Yeah. And like this, so look, not even just Bob Barker and not just elephants, but podcast hosts, material for years. Just keep, every time there's a lull in conversation, just bring it back, more Bob Barker.
Yes.
These are tips.
So I hope you're writing this down. Mark McGark.
That guy, he can learn a thing or two.
Shout out to Making Friends Podcast with Mark McGark. Okay, so now we get to the third and final Tom tweet. And it is one of your all-time most popular tweets.
Oh, yeah.
So, it is, skipping stones on a lake. Date. It's such a beautiful evening. Me. Take that, you fucking lake.
Your delivery makes it, I think.
Because what?
Your delivery makes it, I would say.
Oh, it makes it?
It brings the fun out of it.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, also, I couldn't do a British accent. Presumably, these are British people skipping a British stone on a British lake, right?
Yeah,
so already, I'm doing it wrong. I'm not, the wrong pronunciation.
I mean, it's good to hear how it interprets itself in a different culture.
Yeah, the North American version of this tweet, not as popular. It's not going to get the 17K likes or retweets that this one has.
Well, I think the thing is about skipping stones is that's a very American term, and I had to translate myself. You have to, as a British tweeter, you have to quite a lot to translate yourself to what would make sense for Americans. Because if I was going to say that in my best kind of British way, it wouldn't be skipping stones, I'd be chucking rocks.
Okay. So slightly different.
Yeah, we'd be chucking rocks on a date.
But you're not going to get the skips. If you just chuck it, it's just going to kind of like...
Yeah, but you get more chucks.
It's just
chucks across the lake.
I don't know. Yeah, but that is interesting. Yeah, so you think about that when you do tweets. So you're angling for that North American audience. So you're like, oh no, I wouldn't put something in my boot.
They're not going to know what that is.
I would put it in my trunk.
Exactly. I'm like, I don't know. It's like sidewalk, things like that. I wouldn't say that, and it's tough though because I don't want to. You don't want to restrict yourself Because if you change it too much to the American audience, the English tweeters don't like that. The English audience get annoyed that you're changing your language.
It's a delicate balance. You got to strike
tough. You've got a lot of people to please.
Yeah. So you run it through a bunch of different filters. You run it through your British filter, through the American filter. Try to find the perfect balance. There's a very tight control process. Yeah. All right, well, I'm glad that we got to the bottom of that. So now we can move on to your favorite tweets from other people.
Yeah.
So these are some great people that have some great tweets. And the first person is Brent at Merman5. Everyone should obviously know this guy. He's one of the all-time greats. So funny, consistently, just one of the best. His AVI is a bear surfing a shark, like a cartoon. And the tweet is... No rapping tonight. Why? You rap about Patrick Swayze every time. It's embarrassing. Okay. After one beer. Uh-oh, y'all, it's getting kind of hazy.
That delivery was excellent.
It was better than the other delivery? I'm working on it.
It was amazing.
Sorry, yeah, I'm trying to work on it. Because reading these tweets that are like people talking and scenes and stuff, it is not easy. And I do not tell people to not send these. I just figure it out as I read them.
I liked it.
You got to do it.
That tweet is like, that was around the time I first started doing jokes, and it's so funny. It's Brent and Nate and Kate with their Borderline podcast is the reason I got into the whole thing anyway, so those guys will always be my favourite accounts, and that one is just exceptionally good.
Yes, definitely. I have listened to that podcast too, and it's great. Those people are great. Everyone check out Nate Wolf, and was it Brosephine?
Lady Broseph.
Lady Broseph, yes. Very funny, and I think Canadian partly.
The two guys are Canadian, aren't they?
Yeah, love it.
Yeah. It's weird to know stuff about people you've never met or interacted with.
It is kind of weird.
It's odd.
But that's the age of the internet in which we live.
Creepy.
So the second tweet that you sent is by Semi-Auto Magic Sloth at Elizabeth on Twitter. Definitely check out this hilarious sloth. So the tweet is, suspecting Kyle is a werewolf. Me. I've laid out all the good silverware for us tonight. Kyle. It's chips and salsa. Me. And stabs chips with fork.
It's like, that one is like one of my all-time favourites. Like, seriously, I love it so much. I go to it all the time. And like, it was like, I found it like right after I first started, and Liz had like 13 followers or something, and I had like, I don't know, like 80 or something like that. And I found that tweet and was like, oh my god. And yeah, I've been in like a chat, like DM room with her for, well, she does not around anymore, but when she was in a DM room with me for a long time, and she's just such a funny weirdo.
Yeah, all her tweets are, weird and
so
very
bizarre.
funny. But that's that absurd tip, right? It just kind of hits that right magic weird Twitter spot. And
exactly.
Some of the funniest stuff comes from like the weirder tweeters. It's like,
I think so. Sometimes you just think, like, sometimes there's jokes when you go, how did I not think of that? I should have thought of that. And that's where, like, the puns come from, and, like, the Todd Williams jokes. They're all in that category of, God damn it, how did I not think of that joke? Because they're so clever, but they feel so obvious as soon as you've read it.
Right,
But then there's other people, like Liz, who are like, you would never have thought of that, because it's nonsense. No one would have thought of that. Why has anyone ever had that thought? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It's the same as people like Viney. Like, you read that guy's tweets and you're like, what the fuck is going on in this guy's brain?
Yeah, definitely on the weirder edge of the weird Twitter spectrum.
Pasta bot.
Yeah. Jesus Christ, pasta. Not now, pasta bot.
Pasta bot. Yeah, it's so good.
Classic. If you don't know what tweet we're talking about, too bad. All right. So that's great. Definitely shout out to Elizabeth. Not tweeting anymore, but maybe she'll come back one day.
She had a big break last year and then came back and like did some fire and then left again. So who knows?
Yeah, she could be back. All right, and you have the third tweet in front of you. And
I've just sent it to you.
You've sent it to me, so now I have to read it?
I'd like you to read it.
Okay. So I'm getting it, and
it's
it is from... One. Oh, yeah. So I guess it just didn't work because it's like a super long picture. So this is from our friend Flora at Flora__Flora.
Yeah, I think it's 2 or maybe 3. I'm not sure. I think it's 2.
_Flora. So definitely check her out. Very funny. And again, kind of weird. So if you like that kind of
Very
thing,
weird.
check it out. So she is circumventing the 140 character limit here. It is a picture of text. So I'm going to read the text. Picture this. I have just won the World Championships of Counting. Everyone's going nuts. They can't believe the type of counting they just witnessed. A circle of people starts to form around me. They want me to count for them. Come on, show us what you got. They start to jeer. One of them calls me a bitch and demands I do counting. And I'm like, no, I don't really. 1, 2. The crowd just absolutely loses it. People leaning back like, oh, shit. Prayer hands emoji, Twilight emoji, bunch of fire emojis.
Yes.
And that's how that ends. So thank you to you for submitting the first picture tweet to be read on the podcast.
It would have been hard to do a caption, but I feel like that's a good middle ground for it.
Yeah. So
that one is so, again, who thinks of that? It's so weird. It's brilliant.
It's very good. So definitely recommend following Flora on Twitter, and please be polite.
Yes. Yeah, it was really hard to pick 3 tweets, It's difficult. I could have sent you hundreds. There's so many good people with multiple very good jokes. And
yes.
I tried to do a bit of a mixture of people who Brent is obviously someone everyone knows, and everyone knows that joke. But then I guess with Liz and Flora, they're people who I know and who are maybe not as well known. And I thought it'd be better to kind of highlight some of those guys rather than just go for kind of the big hitters, if you will.
Yeah, well, I think that's great. Thank you for trying to put some thought into it and spread the love around the different areas of Twitter, getting into the weird stuff, more well-known stuff, less well-known. Thank you so much for making those picks. And I know it is hard. We know so many very funny people churning out hilarious stuff every single day, all the time. So you imagine how hard it is to pick just 3 from the sea of hilarious tweets that we've all read. So
it's funny, isn't it? Because I've read those jokes by those guys and so many others by so many other people so many times, and they still make me laugh.
That's the key, right?
Listening to other people talking about their own tweets as well on your show, it's the ones that we write ourselves, I read them time and again because they keep coming up in my notifications or whatever, and the more I read them, the more I hate them,
Yes.
And the ones by other people just stay funny, but the ones by yourself, you don't want to hear that shit. It's shameful somehow.
Yes, especially the older I find, the older the joke is, the more you have had a chance to separate yourself from the enjoyment that you might have first felt
when you wrote it. It's just
you're not in the same place. You're a different person now. Don't look back at those old tweets.
I'm grown. I'm so much wiser.
Especially with the hashtags. Oh, did you ever use hashtags? Geesh.
To God, no, man. And people, I see it, people still ruin their tweets. Someone will say, you do a call at the end of the month and someone will be send you something really funny, but they'll have sent it back to you in their reply. And it's it's not going to take off. You deserve better than this.
I need you to tweet that separate.
Exactly. You need to follow the correct etiquette.
Yes. So if you're listening, don't send your tweet in the replies to the call. Just tweet it and then send the link.
Be wise.
It'll work much better.
It will.
All right, so speaking of Twitter, we are going to turn to Twitter for the questions of the week submitted to Tom by listeners of the show and friends. You can send your question to future guests by following at FOTS Pod on Twitter, and it'll tell you when all the good shows come out, and there's lists, and it retweets funny tweets from the guests and friends of the show, and why not? Why not throw your old pal podcast to follow? So you can definitely check that out. And so the first question is from your pal Keith. Keith's Witching Hour at Ghost Krog, Krogh, on Twitter. And his question is like it is. Hey, Tom. Keith here. When you stayed at my apartment, you left some shampoo here. Can I use it?
That's actually a big lie. I didn't, because I left my shampoo in Will's house and didn't take any to Keith's house and had to use Keith's shampoo.
So this is like a callback, inside joke, working on multiple levels. You didn't
I don't even know
actually
if it's an inside joke. I think he's just waking up from a night of sleepwalking or something and just finding all this extra shampoo.
Like just someone else has been secretly showering in his shower and just leaving their shampoo.
He doesn't know where it's coming from. Like he's going out at night to CVS and just shoplifting loads of shampoo.
Well, that way you avoid the long receipts. Am I right, people? Hey.
Oi. Nice.
So not a question. No shampoo. Forget about the shampoo. Maybe throw out that shampoo if you just found it in there, Keith.
Yeah, whose is it? It's weird.
Actually, maybe if you find out who it is, maybe send us a tweet. Let us know.
Yeah. That's a listen in to future episodes to find out.
Yeah, listen back to future episodes. If I ever find out about this shampoo, I will let you know. Okay, so the next question comes from friend of the show, already mentioned, Lady of Whatever at Bexdora on Twitter. Now, she asks multiple questions, as she always does. Her first question is, are you planning to write any more books? And her second question, of course, what do you have against my mother?
Yes, I guess, the first one. I've started another book.
Yes.
But I've written about 3 chapters of it, or 4 chapters or something, and then I lost motivation. So I'll get back to that at some point. And then the second question, I have no idea what she's talking about.
I think this is a callback to previous episodes of this podcast where you mentioned her mother. I think in
Steve.
Context. Hey, listeners of the show are going to know this. They have encyclopedic memories.
Can I take like a politician answer and just say I do not recall?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I mean, that's not really going to...
I don't really know where this joke came from, but ever since I've known Bex, which is a couple of years now, I don't really know how it first started, but there's been this whole thing about how I'm going to have a fist fight with her mum. And I don't know where it come from, but Bex repeatedly tells me that her mum could beat me in a fight, and, I'm yet to see this old lady. But we'll see how it goes when she ever rocks up.
Yeah, we don't know, but if that ever happens, you gotta let us know who the winner is for sure. Listeners are gonna want to know, and if it does happen, I will mention it on a future episode.
Yeah, I mean, she's got to be pretty old. It's unlikely to happen.
Yeah, well, we'll start taking bets. We'll StephenWSkinner.com. I'll probably make a special page just for the odds on who's gonna win this fight.
And now I kind of want to do
it. Yeah, we'll get a venue, we'll get some pay-per-view rights, we'll get it all set up. We'll do it right.
Boxing match or something.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We're going to do this.
Mismatched people. I like that. She'll definitely kick the shit out of me.
If we're going to do this, we're going to do it right.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, you're writing another book. That's great. You already wrote a book for your dear old dad, I think.
Yeah, I did. I wrote a book last year, or was it the year before? Maybe last year. I talked about this on Mark's show.
Yeah, we don't want to get too much into it because obviously.
Yeah, no, I wrote a book. It's for sale online.
And you're writing another one. That's great.
Yeah.
So yeah, people can get it.
Writing another one. I lack motivation with this one because for the first one I had a set reason for it and a deadline, and this one I don't. So I'm a bit like, I'll get to it.
All right, well, if anyone's listening out there and you want to hear Tom, or you want to read Tom's book, send him a tweet at Trojan Sauce. Be like, "Where's his book?" That'll get him motivated.
If they add on the end of that, "bitch," then I'm more likely to respond.
Yeah,
it's like, where's that book, bitch?
Yeah, be sure to.
Shit, they're clearly excited. I'll respond quicker.
Be sure to swear at Tom. Yeah. It's the only way that he listens. Okay, so the next tweet is from friend of the show, Malt at Malt_Skull, our good friend from Finland. And I think he's referencing one of your tweets here, so maybe you can talk about that to the listeners. The question is, as a Pokemon, what type are you, and what type is your weakness?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I guess he's referencing that tweet where I say, me as a Pokemon, Tom, because Pokemon only say their own name. But there's two. I could answer like that and just talk about my weaknesses as a human,
right?
Or I could say if I was a Pokemon,
I would
probably. I mean, I'd want to be what's the one who's the like fighting one who's got no arms? Hitmonlee. I like that guy.
Yeah, but so he would be. I think he wants to know what type. So that would be like a fighting type.
Oh, okay. I'm not really a fighter. I always liked the grass ones when I was a kid. I had all of the grass ones,
Right?
As a cards, the whole deck when I was younger. So I guess a grass one. And if I'm a grass Pokemon, then I would have to say my weakness is fire, because as we all know, grass Pokemon and fire Pokemon do not mix.
That is correct. So yeah, by the overarching board of Pokemon strengths and weaknesses, that would be the default weakness. It would be fire against your grass type.
Yes.
And your name, of course, would be Tom. And
yes, of course.
you would say it,
Pokemon,
Tom.
People, let's get this off the ground. It's an unheard of craze waiting to happen.
Yeah, you want to get your Pokemon into the next evolution, right? The next...
Yeah, I need boost it up. I want Pokemon like ID number 920, Tom.
Yeah, you want to add it to the decks.
Yeah, come on, guys, let's make it happen. I can crowdfund this.
So, thank you very much, Malt, for your question, Tom. The next question comes from Will DeBeast, our good friend, at Flash Ember on Twitter. He says, 3 questions for T-Sauce. 1.
There's a lot of questions.
Yeah, we're going to try and fly through these. Here we go. 1. Why haven't you written a wildebeest tweet yet? 2. How much money you make from your book? 3. Why you hate Manifesto number 3 so much? Cry face emoji, wildebeest emoji, party emoji.
Oh, wow. These are loaded questions.
Yeah, very wildebeest-centric.
I guess I don't know a huge amount about wildebeest, I've got to be honest. As an animal, I don't know a huge amount. They're not. I don't think we have them here, you know?
Right.
I'm going to give that as the reason.
Okay.
Because they're not here, wildebeest.
Yeah.
We don't have them. Why would I write about them, you weirdo?
Yeah, write what you know.
Number 1. What was number 2? How much money did I make from that book?
How much money did you make?
I don't know. I get occasional emails from Amazon that they have royalty payments, but I've not made a sale in like 5 months, so it's unlikely to be.
Well,
anything.
This podcast appearance is definitely going to give that a shot in the arm. I'll put the link in the show notes. Everyone, check out the show notes for this episode.
Yes.
And
it's very cheap.
It's incredibly cheap.
And the last one, Manifesto Free. So I guess this is... John has his chat room with where we're not allowed to chat so much. He has 2. One for sharing tweets with one another and one for talking. And in the one where we're not allowed to talk, I will talk where I goddamn please. And when I do that, he likes to tell me off. And when he tells me off, I want to talk in there more. So it's a vicious cycle.
Vicious cycle of chatting in a non-chat DM room.
It's there called chat rooms for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, you chat where you chat.
Oh, there you go. So there you go, John. Those are the answers. You chat where you chat.
Chat where I like, boy.
Chat where I like, mate. Okay. So the next question is from one of our favorite question askers. It is Catstronomical at Catstronomical.
She asks good questions to everyone.
Sarah has some of the best questions, and I kind of want to bring her on as permanent question asker every single time.
You can't have her as a guest, though, because no one will ask good questions.
I will have her as a guest, and I'm just going to ask
the questions to herself.
I'm just going to use all her old questions and ask her those questions. So the question that she asks is, which Harry Potter house would you be in, and why? Follow up, does the house you want to be in differ from the one you think you'd be in?
So I think this is a tough question, because I've done the sorting on Pottermore on the website. So I have, I've done it twice. I did it once, and then the website crashed and lost all of the data, and I had to do it again. So the first time, I got Slytherin, which I was very happy with and content with. Right. And then I did it again a few years later, and I got, earlier this year, in fact, and I got Gryffindor. And that's a big change, I think.
Yeah, that's a full 180.
Yeah, I think it shows growth as a person.
So you think you'd really have grown from Slytherin material to Gryffindor material in that time?
I think, I don't know, maybe. I think if I was really honest with myself, I think I'd probably be a Ravenclaw.
Okay.
I think.
So that's
I like numbers too much to be in one of the other houses.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, that's very interesting. I mean, we could debate this for
I'd
hours. Until you actually put the sorting hat on your head, though, you never know.
I mean, no one knows.
Exactly.
But then, like, the sorting hat, people say how powerful the sorting hat is, but we also all watched and read Harry argue with it and just get his own way anyway. So, you know...
It takes it into consideration.
Hat, really?
Yeah, well, it takes it into consideration what you want, right? So
why do we need the hat then? It's just some outrageous ceremony. There's no need for it. Just be like, which house do you want to be in? Gryffindor. All right, everyone's in Gryffindor this year because Harry Potter's in there.
Yeah, why not? J.K. Rowling, if you're listening, you might need to address these holes. You might need to address these plot holes. Okay, so thank you again, Sarah Space Cat at Catstronomical on Twitter. Follow her for great questions and funny tweets. So the next question...
Definitely questions.
Yeah.
just questions.
The next question, I guess it's a question, came in just today, last minute, from Will, friend of the show, at Upside Down Trash. And he says, suck my butt?
Oh, I won't.
He won't. There you have it. So the next question comes in from Allison at Shug_night. And this is going to date the podcast if we haven't already. Do you hate Covfefe tweets? Covfefe.
Oh my God. Yeah, who doesn't hate Covfefe tweets?
There you go. Yes, definitely hate it. Hate all of everything, and the world is bad right now.
If anybody is still doing Covfefe tweets or remembers what they are when this podcast airs in like 3 weeks' time, then the world is a terrible place.
Yeah, in this hyper news cycle, no one should be on that subject anymore.
No.
By the time this comes out, hopefully no one's talking about that. Because everything gotten much worse. No matter what, when you're listening, couldn't be worse.
Who cares?
We are way past that. Okay, thank you, Allison, for your question. The next and final question comes from a friend of the show at Not a Croc. Alligator asks, "Hi, Tom. It's Josh. When you see me in December, will you give me a big hug like you promised?"
I don't remember promising him that.
Oh, jeez. I hate for you to find out this way, Josh.
The only important thing we need to know about Josh is that, firstly, he's a lovely guy. I really like Josh, but he prefers to go by the name Jimps. Is a nickname he was given in a chat room, and he loves it and prefers to be called Jimps. Rhymes with chimps, begins with a J.
Jimps. Well, there you have it. There you have it. It's an interesting name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No backstory whatsoever.
Yeah, not much else to report on it, but thanks for the tidbit. So if you're listening, you may refer to him as Jimps, like please. It's a little inside.
Yeah.
Okay, so... Oh, wait! There is another question that just came in over the DM. It comes from none other than Mike Bigby at Mike Bigby. Uh-oh.
Oh, my gosh.
Here we go. He asks... Tom, will you do me the honor of meeting up with me for a beer?
Wow. Yeah, I guess. Whatever. If I'm not busy, I'll try not to cancel 3 days before.
Oh, here we go.
No, I really like Mike. Mike's a really good guy. He's very funny, and we get on very well. And it was a shame that he couldn't come to our meetup before, and I would love to go for a drink with him sometime.
Hooray! So is this the end of the feud? We don't know.
Absolutely not.
We will have to find out on a further future episode.
I'll tell you after the show, when we'll stop the recording now quickly, and I'll whisper to you what I'll do, is I'll go for a beer with him, and when I get there, I'll punch him in the face.
Okay, I'll definitely cut that out. And
thank you.
So he'll never know. He'll never know it's coming.
I know. And I'll film it and we can put it in the show notes.
It's going to go viral, my man.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you very much. So I guess that ends the Mike Bigby feud, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, for now.
Or does it? Listen to future episodes. Yep. Tune into future episodes. Okay, so thank you everyone for all the questions. Please, again, follow FOTS Pod on Twitter and send a question to a future guest because it really makes the show go round. So, as we begin our final descent into wrapping up, we have already mentioned that Tom is a celebrated author. And has written more than one thing. So...
you sound celebrated, particularly when someone describes them as things.
Yeah. Award seeing author. He will now perform a written piece for the listeners. So
I'm very anxious about this. I've never done this before.
All right, well, if you know, if
but here we go. We're gonna do it.
If it's really bad, I'll. No, I'm not taking it out. So go.
All right, fine.
Nuts.
Just do it well.
Here we are.
Okay. So this is this is Wonderwall. This is something I wrote a few months ago called "Sinking into Space." I hadn't thought about what to read, so I just picked the first one I saw today. So here we go. I can feel the soles of my shoes soaking water in as the salty liquid sloshes over my feet. I take cautious steps forward, feeling the freezing waves creeping up my calf, to my knee, and over my thigh. The material of my trousers turns darker and heavier with every step that I take, the water pushing me forward. I force back. As the icy water reaches my stomach, I can feel my muscles contract in resistance. My limbs are screaming for me to return to warmth and comfort, desperate for a rest. But my mind is sharp, focused. I continue out into the waves as the almost black liquid washes up to my chest and starts to lap at my throat. The night is clear and the moon is reflected against the waves in front of me, illuminating a path of light ahead. I can feel that my breathing has quickened and shallowed, so I take a moment to compose my lungs. I close my eyes and take some deep breaths, calming my core and momentarily pausing the shivering in my fingers. Once my composure is regained, I continue. The water is now over my chin, so I purse my lips tightly to stop the salts from reaching my tongue. As the waves move around me and the water begins to move up my nose and over my cheeks, still I walk on. I can no longer breathe as the water completely covers my nostrils and then proceeds to move over my eyes and forehead. My eyes remain open and I feel the salt sting as it washes behind my eyelids. I instinctively clamp shut, trying to wash the intrusion away, but I force them apart, allowing the moon to guide me. My feet begin to stick to the seabed, weighed down by wet sand beneath me. I can feel my shoes pull apart from my feet as I step. Sand floods the gaps and I can feel the wet mounds pressing against the soles of my feet. As the water covers my hair and the top of my head, I disappear completely from view. The pressure of the water around me feels like a vice around my skull. The sound of crashing waves has been replaced by a ringing sound as my ears give in to the crushing of the sea. I continue to labour forward. With every step, the light provided by the moon dampens and darkens, and the blackness of the water engulfs me. Eventually, I see nothing. Wet hair pierces the surface of the water, and ripples rush out around me. My eyes slowly open, and oxygen rushes into my system. I can feel my heart rate return to normal, and the blood rush through my veins. It's only when I exit the water entirely that I feel how cold I've been. My fingers are black with ice. I brush my hand against my face and it feels like a stranger is touching me. The sensations in my extremities have completely deserted me. It takes some time for me to take stock of my surroundings. I have no idea how long I've been submerged, but my system is completely shocked. When I eventually regain my bearings, I am greeted with an unexpected scene. I am stood at the edge of the earth. My hair is brushing against the stars. I can reach out and touch the moon. The universe is whistling around me, eternity ahead of me and behind me. Distance is nothing and everything, and I'm suddenly caught up in an overwhelming rush of insignificance and loneliness. I cross the water to reduce the space, and now planets separate us.
Well done, Tom. Well done.
Thank you.
Very nice.
I did.
Great visuals. I feel
Thank you.
chilled to my core.
Yeah, good. I hope so.
Great. Well, that was lovely. So, if
Thanks.
there is nothing else, I think. Actually, do you know the English insults? Any good ones?
There's I don't know. I think we largely have similar ones to you, but good ones that you guys don't really say, like knobhead.
Yeah,
is good.
Right.
Bellend.
Bellend.
Is good.
Yeah, we don't use those ones.
Bellend's a good one. Then there's other things that I wouldn't say myself typically, but you hear I hear people say melt about people. I don't know if that translates.
Melt.
Yeah, melt is something I hear.
I think a lot of people say like you utter whatever, like you complete whatever, like the knobhead or whatever, but they always say like you absolute So they always
bellend is probably the one.
Bellend.
Like, you fucking bellend. Like,
Yeah.
that's quite a... You'll hear that around the office.
Yeah. So I figure you could use sort of any synonym of, like, absolute, and then just add any random object to it to be an insult.
Sure.
So you'd be
I think, like, you've lived in England, so you could probably just say anything to people and be like, oh, that's what I say in England.
Yes, that's exactly what I say. Yeah. I want to say, like, you absolute puddle.
Yeah,
like, that's what they're calling.
You know what? That would work. I think if you
yeah.
said that, if I started using that, I think people would think it's new slang.
You utter dish rag.
Yeah, nice, I like it.
So we can just say that those are things, and it'll catch on from here. So if you ever hear
Absolutely.
someone call you a puddle...
By the time this podcast airs, it's just going to be everywhere.
It's going to be everywhere. We affected the language.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Tom. Thank you so much for coming on. Thanks for sharing your story, your tales, all your tweets, and the pics. And if there's anything you would like to say, I'm about to start the closing song.
Do we talk over the song?
Yeah, we do.
Oh, yeah. I feel like a newsreader. You know when they like shuffle their papers at the end and pretend to chat?
So thank you for coming.
Nice. It's a good show. I enjoyed it. It was good fun.
Great. And we'll catch you next time. Catch you online at Trojan Sauce.
Yeah. Who's on next? Who's your next guest after me?
I'm not telling.
Oh, exciting.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Bye, friends.
Well, that's it. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode with Tom at Trojan Sauce. And if you did, maybe send us a note on Twitter at FOTS Pod. And remember to send in a question for future guests. Be sure to follow me at Skinner Steven for all your fun Twitter jokes and amusement. Next week's episode, I finally get some Canadian content as my guest is Calgary's own Jeff Da Silva. We have a great chat about comedy, his days as an intern at Conan, and his current role as Calgary's coolest dad. So please subscribe to the show on your preferred podcast app. Be sure to rate and review in Apple Podcasts, and I will read your review on a future episode. Also visit StephenWSkinner.com. It's got all the episodes and everything that you could want. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, have a good one.
Are we going?